So we're still on 4/8 notes, and we're solving with the quadratic formula. Here, A is -1, B is 2, and we had to subtract the 5 over, so C is -5. So it should look like -x squared plus 2x minus 5 equals 0. And then you plug into the formula, which is x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So let's just plug in. So you get x equals -2 plus or minus the square root of 2 squared minus 4 times a, which is -1, times c, which is -5, all over 2 times -1. And let's just do some math. So I'm going to write up here now, and I'm going to get x equals -2 plus or minus the square root. Well, 2 squared is 4, and -4 times -1 is +4 times -5 is a -20. All over 2 times -1 is -2. So it's x equals -2 plus or minus the square root of a -16 all over -2, which is x equals, now the square root of -16 is plus or minus 4i all over -2, which there are two answers. There's x equals -2 plus 4i over -2, which happens to be 1 minus 2i when you simplify. Or you could have x equals -2 minus 4i over -2, which is 2 plus 2i when you simplify. There you go. Moving along, here again, we have to add the 16. Because it has to be equal to 0. So 2x squared plus 12x plus 16 equals 0. This is A, B, and C. So x equals the opposite of b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4 times a, here our a is 2, times c, which is 16, all over 2 times a. So let's do some math. -12 plus or minus the square root of 144 minus, now 4 times 2 times 16, what is that? I get a 128 all over 4. So x is going to equal -12 plus or minus the square root. Well, just so you know, 144 minus 128 gives me a 16. How nice. Over 4. So x equals -12 plus or minus 4 over 4. So there are two answers. It's going to be x equals -12 minus 4 over 4 and -12 plus 4 over 4. This will give you a negative, what, 16 over 4, which will give you a -4. This will give you a -8 over 4, which will give you a -2. So your answers are -4 and -2. All right. Okay, in this problem, you're going to have to set everything equal to 0, so you're going to have to move these two items to the left. So we're going to minus 7x, and then you're going to add 25. These are not the same, they just happen to be lined up. So 4x squared minus 20x plus 25 equals 0. So you know that a is 4, b is -20, and c is 25. So you get x equals the opposite of b, so minus a -20. So it's going to be a plus 20, plus or minus the square root of -20 squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2 times a. All right, let's do some math. Let's do some math. X will equal a positive 20 plus or minus the square root of 400 minus 4 times 4 times 25. Look at that, 400 all over 8. Now in this case, there is only going to be one root. When the discriminant is 0, there is only one root, because really what you have, this goes to 0. 20 plus or minus 0 is just 20 over 8. So your answer is just 20 over 8. There's only one answer. There's only one root. That's that. Moving along, we have these two examples, and they're numbered differently because when I copy and paste and everything's set to 1 on the board. I don't know. So here we go. We have 3 is A. Let me make those capital. This is A, this is B, this is C. So x equals plus or minus, I'm sorry. The opposite of B, which is 6, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A, which is 3, and C, which is 6, all over 2 times A, which is 3. So we'll do the math. X equals 6 plus or minus the square root of 36 minus, well, anybody know what 12 times 6 is? Just so you know, 12 times 6 is 72. So right now you should be thinking I'm getting a negative under this radical. It's probably going to be imaginary numbers. So x equals 6 plus or minus the square root of a negative 36 over 6. So x is going to equal 6 plus or minus 6i over 6. Because the square root of 36 is 6. And when we break it apart, x is going to equal 6 plus 6i over 6 and 6 minus 6i over 6. When we simplify, it's 1 plus I and 1 minus I. These are your two solutions. Now we have to do the second problem. So I'll do that one in blue. Pull my calculator over here. A is 1, B is negative 3, C is a positive 3. So x equals the opposite of B, so opposite of negative 3, plus or minus the square root of B squared minus 4 times A times C, all over 2 times A. So x is going to equal a positive 3, plus or minus the square root of 9 minus 12, all over 2. X is going to equal 3 plus or minus the square root of minus 3 over 2. And so x is simply going to equal 3 plus or minus I squared to 3 over 2. Nothing simplifies, nothing comes out. That's my answer. You can break it into 2, 3 plus I squared to 3 over 2, and 3 minus I squared to 3 over 2. That's where we're at. Now we're talking about the discriminant. And remember that greater than 0 is just positives. When b squared minus 4ac is greater than 0, blank the equation has blank. Okay, so this extra line that I just took out was throwing me. So the equation has, when it's positive, it has 2 real solutions and 2 x-intercepts. Okay, so we didn't need that line, so if you were graphing it and this is your x and y axis, you know it's going to be a parabola. It's going to cross the x-axis in 2 places. So that's the first part. And then when b squared minus 4ac equals 0, so you have one real solution, and you will have one x-intercept. So pretty much at this point, the x-intercept is usually the vertex, not always, but it's only going to cross the x-axis one time. So that's what that one looks like. And then when you have, it's less than 0, which means that it's negative. It's a negative number. The equation has 0 x-intercepts, or sorry, 0 real solutions, but 2 imaginary solutions. And 0 x-intercepts. So that just means that the parabola, that when we graph it, will not hit the x-axis. It's up here somewhere. Or it could be down here somewhere. But wherever it is, it doesn't hit the x-axis. So that's what it means. All right. So if you're just finding the discriminant of these problems down here, A, B, and C, and giving me the number and type of solution, you're really only filling in this portion, b squared minus 4ac. You still need to know what A, B, and C are. So here A is 1, B is 6, C is 5. And you say the square root of 6 squared minus 4, A is 1, and C is 5. So you get the square root 36 minus 20. You'll get the square root of 16, which is 4. So it's positive, right? It's positive, like right here. And you know that these are two real solutions. It's positive. That's all you need to know. Now when you do the next one, here A is 1, B is 6, C is 9. The square root of 6 squared minus 4 times A, which is 1, times C, which is 9, equals the square root of 36 minus 36, which gives you 0. When it's 0, you have one real solution. Then the last case where A is 1, B is 6, C is 13, you get the square root, again just doing the discriminant, which is this formula right here. B is 6 squared minus 4 times A times C, which is 13. So you get the square root 36. Now, 13 times 4, 52. 13 times 4, 52, just making sure it's right, minus 52. So then what do you got? You get a negative number, 36 minus 52 gives you a negative 16. So this is the square root of negative 16, which will give you plus or minus 4i. So two imaginary roots, or solutions. Roots and solutions can be used interchangeably. There we are. Now it just says find the discriminant of each quadratic equation and give the number and types of roots. A, B, C. We're only filling in b squared minus 4ac, right? So we get the square root of negative 8 squared minus 4 times 1 times 17. So you have the square root 64, 4 times 17 minus 68. Get the square root of negative 4, you get, which will give you plus or minus 2i. So two imaginary roots, or solutions, which can be used interchangeably. Here, A is 1, B is 4, C is 3. So the square root of b squared minus 4ac. Let's plug in. 4 squared minus 4 times 1 times 3. So this is the square root of 16 minus 12. It's the square root of 4. It's 2 plus or minus, so two real roots. Two real roots. That's what you're getting. By the way, the root is not 2. You'd have to find the root by doing the whole quadratic formula. But since it's positive, you know two roots exist. Just like plus or minus 2i is not the root, we just know that they're imaginary. All right, so we got a couple more here. Let's go through those. A is 1, B is 2, C is negative 1. So we have the square root of 2 squared plus 4, 1 times negative 1. So you get the square root of 4 minus 4. Get the square root of 0. This is one real root, because when you get a square root of 0, it's 0. It's one real root. Then here we have A is 1, B is 6, C is 4. So you get the square root of b squared minus 4 times A times C, which gives you the square root of 36 minus 16, which is the square root of 20. 20 is positive. So you have two real...
Mr. Hammerstack, please come to the office.
Two real roots. Two real roots. There we go. Here's your homework, page 296, 369, 19, 20, 31, 32, 39. Thanks for listening. Bye.